Howdy, partners. Welcome to Sound and Fury. I'm Eric Wilfred Tex Watson.
And I'm Hugh Frank, and I'm your Huckleberry.
Today we're going to talk about Westerns, or as I like to call them, reality shows and documentaries. So what's your favorite Western?
Didn't see that one coming.
That's what she said.
Oh! He shoots, he scores. Wow. So, for me, that's a hard one, actually. Also what she said. So for me, it was quite a toss-up between Unforgiven and Tombstone. Unforgiven is, it's a hard, grinding, just gritty kind of movie, and it's got one of my favorite quotes, which is, "It's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take away all he's got, all he's ever going to get."
It's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take away all he's got, and all he's ever gonna have.
But just for sheer entertainment value, Tombstone, although it's historically completely apocryphal, is ultimately the better story. Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday, just one of the best performances ever in a movie. Actually, I think he won the Academy Award for best film ever.
It was a remake of a Star Trek episode as well.
Of course it was. Oh, do tell.
No, they just had the get out of town by noon, but it was an alien planet, But anyway.
Aliens, you shall be punished. You, Captain Kirk, yours shall be the pattern of your death. I'm not Ike Clanton.
Well, I'm glad to meet you, Mr. Kirk.
You've got until 5 tonight to get your horse-stealing, scurvy crew out of town.
The Earps will kill the Clantons at the OK Corral at 5 o'clock.
We are the Clantons.
Yeah, Tombstone was a good Western. Now, the problem is, despite my ridiculous intro, I don't really like Westerns, so I had a hard time with this topic. I've seen Tombstone, I've seen Unforgiven, but it's been a long time.
Tombstone, ironically, one of the reasons I like it so much, and like Val Kilmer in that movie, is because he plays a lunger. He's got, I believe it's tuberculosis. Mm-hmm. And they call him a lunger in the movie anyway. That's kind of the derogatory term, I guess they said. And he's kind of pale. He's dying. He's always coughing. And if you're a fantasy nerd and you've read the Dragonlance Chronicles and you know who Reese Lemagir is, mm-hmm. He's basically the cowboy version of Reese Lemagir. And so it's kind of funny. The reason I liked him so much in that is because he reminds me of a sick and dying wizard.
Which is probably what they were going for in the Western.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's
how about you?
Well, my favorite reality show documentary, no. This was a hard one for me. I was originally going to pick True Grit with the original one with John Wayne.
Yeah.
No, I'm here. I'll see it all.
I'm just messing with y'all. I'm fine. I call this one fish out of water.
My goodness.
Because I just have nostalgic, feel-good memories watching that with my grandpa when I was a kid. But when I was looking at it again, it's too hokey for me. I decided I was going to pick The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's my favorite Western.
Iconic.
The spaghetti Western, But that's actually one of the reasons I was going to pick it, is the music is so iconic. And a lot of the old, American Westerns with the John Wayne, the rumble tumble American hero, Old West. That's fantasy. Old West wasn't anything like
Of course,
that.
it's fantasy. It's got mages in it. He's the prodigal son of Fist and Dantalus.
Westerns are American fairy tales. History didn't unfold that way. I would imagine that A Good, a Bad, and the Ugly, the grittiness, the shoot first, ask questions later sort of attitude was probably more realistic. It's not like I was there. I would be more like Billy Crystal and City Slickers in a Western setting.
Yeah.
But I like the movie. Clint Eastwood is just the ultimate cool guy, and it's fun to watch him just do his thing. Not to mention Back to the Future riffed on it. It wasn't that movie. It was another spaghetti western where he gets shot and then drops the metal plate. I think that was A Fistful of Dollars, actually. But I would actually say the Sergio Leone trilogy of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars, and A Few Dollars More. Those three movies together kind of blur in my head. So I guess I would say that trilogy is my favorite western.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that music, like you mentioned, is just iconic. That's when you have kind of that showdown between two people. First you have to have that kind of rattly rattlesnake thing, then you have to have the tumbleweed going by, and then the next thing is like that is what a western is, or those three things, right? The rattlesnake music, so yeah, good choice.
I joked earlier when you're comparing the western to fantasy, but there's actually a lot of similarities there. Going on the quest, the old background, no technology, hero's journey, very similar to the fantasy genre.
It is, isn't it?
In fact, Stephen King borrowed the Clint Eastwood character, the man with no name, as one of his inspirations for the Gunslinger books that he wrote. He very much thought of Clint Eastwood in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly when he was inventing Roland Duchesne, the Gunslinger.
Okay.
And of course, as a Stephen King fanboy, I appreciate that reference.
Right.
And as a Metallica fan, every Metallica concert since the 80s has started with a song called The Ecstasy of Gold, which was the climax music in A Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
See, I thought you were going to make an Unforgiven reference.
Yes.
I
don't... Yeah, I remember as a kid, teenager, I guess, in the 90s when Unforgiven, the movie came out, and then the song Unforgiven came out, or the other way around. I don't remember which came first.
Yeah.
I was like, do they have anything to do with each other? Of course, I didn't have Google yet, so I couldn't find out.
Yeah, Google was hard to get to in the 80s and early 90s. It was having trouble not existing.
Yeah.
So,
excuses.
You bring up a very interesting point, and when you combine fantasy and western, you get steampunk, and it kind of fits all the classic tropes of both fantasy and western, and you have kind of that technology that doesn't really, the steampunk technology wouldn't really, you can't recreate that in the real world, but it works. And I have to admit that I'm not terribly familiar with steampunk, but I've always been very fascinated by it. I remember at Gen Con one year, there were three people had dressed up as steampunk versions of the Ghostbusters, and that was just freaking cool. They had proton packs that looked like, they came from the Old West, and and of course you got to have the glasses, right? The kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, so...
Worst Western of all time was Wild Wild West with Will Smith. Speaking of kind of steampunky.
I have to admit I haven't seen that yet.
It's the worst.
It's only been 30 years.
It is the worst thing of all time. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's
Worst Western, basically.
Yeah, it's not good.
Why, y'all look like you seen a ghost. It's me, dear friends, alive and kicking. Well, alive anyway. We may have lost the war, but heaven knows we haven't lost our sense of humor. No.
It's kind of too bad, because if you think about it, if that had been more well done, maybe it could have brought steampunk to the forefront, kind of the way Lord of the Rings brought fantasy to this. There wasn't really... Well, Harry Potter, I guess. But Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings kind of came out at the same time. If any of those had failed miserably, we probably wouldn't have all of that stuff. We wouldn't have gone on to have, Chronicles of Narnia and think about all the, what is there, like I can't think of all the cool fantasy stuff that's out there. So, I mean, really, that film kind of falling on its face, I think kind of doomed the whole steampunk. There could have been something there.
But no, there's a lot to be said about the Western genre. It's even though the spaghetti Westerns were filmed in Italy and Spain and West Germany, it's really an American genre.
So if you're in a spaghetti Western and dressed scantily but wearing a gun,
Oh no.
are you spaghetti strapping?
Thank you for watching today.
Peace out.